from India, Japan, and Australia, known as the Quad Alliance. And the goal is to keep peace in the Indian and Pacific Oceans in the face of a growing threat from the Chinese Communist Party. For more, NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley joins us. Jack, good afternoon. What should we be watching for here?
Good afternoon, Don. Well, the message here is the same as it was in the Biden administration, and that's to keep a free and open Asia-Pacific region. Free and open meaning not influenced by the Chinese Communist Party, which seeks to block regional allies from the U.S. allies from carrying out resupply missions or just operating freely there, as we know that the Chinese Communist Party has been ramming Philippine Coast Guard vessels and carrying out military drills threatening allies in the region. Rubio said at a news conference today that the leaders, prior to going into closed-door talks, that the relationship with these countries has been gaining momentum in recent months, and that their alliance, strengthened, could benefit other countries in the region in the face of the growing military threat from China, like Taiwan and the Philippines. Here's Secretary Rubio earlier today.
There are many countries that are going to benefit from this partnership, even though they're not members of it. And it's not simply a security matter. It's largely, in many cases, about economic development. In fact, later today, we'll be hosting here in this building a number of companies. I think over 30 or 40 companies was the last count, representing all four of our countries, companies that are doing businesses in these countries or who are domiciled in these countries and who are going to be visiting here to talk about things we can work together on.
So a huge focus here on economic encouragement in these countries, a very different message from what we heard in the Biden administration, which is securing a safe region. Obviously, safety is the #1 priority, and then comes economy, but they're going the next step here. Rubio says that following these meetings is to start taking action, not just for regional security as China threatens to destabilize them, but also to promote economic development, particularly when it comes to critical minerals, which are used to make electronics, vital electronics like military-grade electronics, as well as iPhones. They also need to secure access to raw materials, but on the other side of this, they have to have the capability to process those raw materials, refine them into usable products. Going into the meetings, each of the foreign ministers addressed the press separately, with Japan discussing the role of the Quad Alliance in keeping peace in the region, Australia discussing the necessity of strengthening supply chains, and India with the hopes of hosting the next Quad summit, and also adding that they condemn terrorism that was in the face of recent terrorist attacks on India, which blamed Pakistan, leading to that short but deadly war about 2 months ago. President Trump brokered a ceasefire deal between those two countries, after which Pakistan nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. India, meanwhile, has differed that Trump's intervention has led to the ceasefire. Let's take a look.
A word about terrorism in the light of our recent experience. The world must display zero tolerance. Victims and perpetrators must never be equated. And India has every right to defend its people against terrorism, and we will exercise that right. We expect our Quad partners to understand and appreciate that.
This is a very important Quad meeting, as always, and unfortunately we meet against the backdrop of conflict and of escalating competition. So it has never been more important for us to harness our collective strength for peace, for stability, for prosperity in the Indo-Pacific and for all our peoples.
Currently, there is turmoil in the Middle East and Europe. The Indo-Pacific region, where our four countries are located, is the growth engine of the global economy, accounting for more than half of the world's population. With this, the peace and stability of the Indo-Pacific region are essential for the prosperity of international community. The four countries, as major powers in the region, have an important role to play in ensuring peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region.
Now, this is the second time Rubio's hosting these Quad foreign ministers in Washington. He hosted them back in January on the 21st. That's the day after Trump was inaugurated. Obviously, this move underscores the importance of the Indo-Pacific region, Don.
So, Jack, CCP aggression in the Pacific is nothing new. It has been going on for years, but has the threat level changed?
Right. So you're right. The idea of the Indo-Pacific being at threat from the Chinese Communist Party goes back at least to the Biden administration, where they were faced with keeping peace while the CCP was causing problems. That's as China's Coast Guard and other forces have clashed with Philippine ships, ramming them, blocking them from carrying out resupply missions. As far as has it increased or changed, these jet flyovers, military drills over Taiwan and Japan airspace and Taiwanese waters, this may be on the rise. The top U.S. military officer, Admiral Samuel Paparo, says that the Chinese Communist Party's military aggression against Taiwan increased 300% in 2024. And he says that drills like these are not just drills, they're not military exercises, but rehearsals for what could happen if the CCP decides to invade Taiwan. Former President Biden last year was caught on a hot mic telling the Quad leaders that, quote, China is testing us, referring to the regime's increasing aggressive behavior in the region. Don, back to you.
Okay, Jack, thank you very much. Chinese state media reports that a new group has been formed at the very high levels of the Chinese Communist Party. Analysts tell us it's a sign that